a lot of people, when they hear JustFence, so we get two kind of reactions. So one is, JustFence, you guys do fencing. Why didn't I know of you guys before? Because it's a pain. And the second most common reaction that we get is fencing. Really? Like can a startup exist in just fencing?
So I'm in Bombay, and one of my friends is gonna be, let's say, in Jammu Kashmir, and they have a land parcel there. They want to fence. Now I have recommended you, but you do not have an office setup or team setup in, let's say, Kashmir. Would you still be able to take up the job? How will you go about it?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and this is also one of our major value adds. A developer kind of fences the property really well, uses something very different or does some signages or something very attractive. Yeah. What happens is that slowly it helps the people to move from AIDA very quickly. And for that reason, what we have increasingly started seeing is that a lot of developers and builders have started taking fencing very seriously.
5 years back, my wife bought a plot in Dehradun. Everything is good, but the problem was, we realized we have bought the plot, we have not fenced it. और अगर हम उसकी fencing नहीं करेंगे तो शायद encroachment होगा और हमारे land parcel के बारे में हमारी ये चिंता बार बार बढ़ती गई, हर रात बढ़ती गई to almost 45 sleepless nights. And then we called a relative, we told them, hey, we'll pay you money, we'll pay a premium, but make sure that our land parcel gets fenced. To my dismay, 3 years back, we visited the land parcel and we were surprised. There was hardly anything that happened in the name of fencing there. Where did our money go? We can't even ask a relative anymore. The problem is, how do most of the Indians solve this problem of fencing their land parcels? And then a few months back, I met this guy called Kunal who's running a company called JustFence, and they're just about fencing these land parcels, these plots. If you're a developer, you're building premises. So after meeting them, I knew if I had known this guy, I would have just given my business to him. So whatever small level, I could see the promise that they're delivering. I could see the focus that they are really doing. And that's why I really felt for our 15th episode, Kunal is going to be the best fit for us to have and understand this narrative of the problem that they are fixing. And did I say 15th episode? Because when I started a few months back, I never thought we will come this far. Us and Realty Plus team are so glad, all of you, for following us, for being with us, for giving us your feedback, making us better. And let me tell you, at the start, we did make a promise of bringing 15 PropTech founders here, but we are not willing to stop. We're going to continue building this relationship further, getting more PropTech founders and their stories right here. But today, let's welcome Kunal on our 15th episode of Sleepless Ranges to begin with. So Kunal, welcome to Sleepless Ranges. And I still remember, it was just a month back, I guess, where we met in Goa. And when you told about the problem that you are solving, and I was like, damn, my wife had this problem in Dehradun when she bought a land. And I was literally intrigued. I wanted to know more how you are doing it. Because among all the PropTech startups that are featured here, this is a very unique problem. I never thought that somebody would be really taking it up and would think about solving it. So my first thing, thanks a lot for joining in, for coming in from Bangalore, traveling all across to Bombay and joining us at the podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Govind, for inviting me. And the reaction what you had, this is a very common reaction.
I'm sure.
To be honest, because a lot of people, when they hear JustFence, so we get two kind of reactions. So one is, JustFence, you guys do fencing. Yeah. Why didn't I know of you guys before? Because it's a pain. And the second most common reaction that we get is fencing. Really? Like can a startup exist in just fencing?
Yes.
So so not at all surprised at the reaction. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go deep, understanding what is the business like, what is the business opportunity that you are chasing. But before that, let me get started with my first signature question for everybody who has come here. And the question is very simple. Among all the things that you could be solving in your life, doing in your life, why you're doing what you're doing?
Thanks for asking that question. And if you ask me, let's say 20 years back when I was doing my MBA, if someone would ask me what business would you be doing, this would not have been the answer.
Absolutely.
For sure. I had my own ideas of doing a food tech startup or some app or something of that sort, and I think it was just a chain of events, or maybe it was this time. So the answer somewhere lies with my background. I come from a typical Marwadi family where we see business from a very young age. And my dad started a business which was into trading of wire meshes.
Okay.
Now, wire meshes are mainly used for a variety of applications. For example, they're used in industries for filtration, they're used for insect screens, they're used in zoos as cages. And one of the major applications of that was fencing. So I used to see this products right as a child, as young as I think I was 3 or 4, like when dad started his business. And when I entered into the family business, we were of course trading it, but unlike most Marwadis, just making money didn't really excite me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I really doing? Like, is it just about like your numbers and like how much money you're making at the end of the day and feeling good about it? Like, what are you doing? What are you disrupting after all this education and things like that? So the family business had reached a stage where we were growing, but there was nothing exciting as such. That was about when we started exploring different avenues. So one of the avenues was that the products that we are selling, can we actually do a forward integration of that?
Got it.
So now the applications of meshes, if you see, is one is of course insect screens, one was fencing, one was the filtration, which was more of an industrial thing. So we didn't want to get that. And what really drew my attention to fencing was um, that this was a completely unorganized market.
Yeah.
There was not a single brand out there, not one organized player. And whenever I traveled to other countries, what I was seeing, like particularly in US and Australia, that fencing was a very organized market. And when we took, let's say, baby steps in that direction, the kind of response that we got from the market, particularly on the B2B side, was like really wow. Because see, many times, like when you are doing a project, like this is a very small component of it, but many times it is a huge headache, and it's many a times the first activity that happens in a project. And sometimes if it's a greenfield project, there's literally nothing which is out there. So even we had our own share of challenges in terms of uh, like really understanding. We did burn our fingers big time, but eventually we found that product market fit. And when we started seeing those early traction, that's when I felt that okay, here is a huge market which is waiting to be tapped, and nobody has really kind of looked into it. And I kind of went to dad, which was a very difficult conversation, because I'm the elder son and in Marwadi family, so expected to take over the family business. And I said to dad, I have this dream, and I was bitten by the startup bug. I think this was in 16, 17, like Amazons and the Olas and Ubers had come, and I used to travel to Bangalore a lot. So I'm from Coimbatore, so I used to travel to Bangalore a lot, and somehow that startup bug had went, and I told to dad, I really want to do this because I don't want to have a regret in my life. And thank God for him, he was like very open to the whole idea. So that's where the JustFence journey kind of started, and that's the story.
Wow. So fascinating. And my next question to you here is, okay, compliment to you for the name, right? The first question that you said, set of people who are saying ki uncle fencing karte ho, right? At least you answered it with your nomenclature itself. Just fence, yes, boss. We just do fencing. My question to you is, who's your target audience? Whom are you going and selling? If you could just elaborate on the same.
That's a very important question to ask, because if you take one of the things about fencing is that it's used in a whole like different segments of properties, or like different types of properties. For example, open lands is of course what everybody thinks the minute we think of fencing. But if you take, for example, farmlands, like they would never build a compound wall. Like fencing is what they have to do if they want to protect their crops, or they want to stop thefts happening. So that's another segment. Then, of course, in building and construction, there are a lot of fencing that can be done from a security angle. There's fencing. So there are a lot of segments which are there. So when we started off, we that was one good clarity that we had, that we focused only on two predominant segments. So the first segment was from the B2C side. Here we were mainly targeting time-pressed individuals, people working who don't really have the time to kind of fence their property, because most of the properties are on the outskirts. If they have to fence it, like almost a day goes waste, and sometimes it's in a different state. So that was one segment on the B2C side. And on the B2B side, it was mainly the industries and commercial properties, because there they had a very pressing need. Like, for example, if it's a factory, like there could be trespassing happening, people like raw materials getting stolen and things like that. So these were the two major segments we started off with. In the last 2 3 years, what we have increasingly, like we have started focusing on, is on the building and construction segment, where we are interacting with a lot of architects, landscapers, and a lot of builders and developers also. Because what we have seen is that, let's say today when you're constructing a home, or you're dealing with so many vendors, and like there are like hundreds and hundreds of vendors out there, and managing them can be a pain. And something like fencing is completely unorganized. So that's a difference. What we are making is where we have very tight project management processes, and we are giving like a core value proposition is like, get your property fenced hassle free. So that experience is like is very very important, like what we want to deliver to the customer. So this is the third segment where we are seeing a lot of traction, particularly with, let's say, villas coming up, or like say any real estate, or like buildings that is coming up. So those are the three segments is what I would say. The holy grail, of course, is the farm segment. Maybe at a future date.
Okay, so I'm gonna take now a very important part, which is the pain point. Okay, could you elaborate? Let's say if it's a villa, I'm a customer, and then a villa where I'm a developer. I'm making a villa where as a developer, I need to make sure that the fencing of the whole project has to happen, and as a customer, only for my property has to happen. Tell me, by calling you and engaging with you, what's the pain that you're taking away?
Okay. So let me first start from the developer point of view, and then maybe address it from the B2C point of view. Now, see, from a developer point of view, normally these projects, they happen on the outskirts, because villa projects require larger land parcels, etc. And many a times in those fairly remote areas, this is many a times the first major development activity which is happening. And of that activity, fencing is many a times the first thing that you do, because the first thing you have to do is kind of secure the land. Where we kind of step in is, and something that we have developed an expertise after so many years and doing so many projects, is that taking up greenfield projects. Because in those projects, you don't have like water facilities, there's no storage space, like everything is alien. So we have kind of managed to crack that. So what a developer gets is really a peace of mind that, okay, these guys are professional, they know their work, they've been there, they've done that. So so we are able to add a lot of value over that thing. And many times they also kind of understand. So there's a saying that when you fence a property, the skeletons come out of the closet.
I'm sure.
So we have also seen a lot of projects, like the minute we start fencing also, like till the whole deal, like nothing would happen. But the day the first pole is erected, like you'll have like some neighbor kind of coming in and creating all those kind of issues. So that is one thing what we do. And that's where like developers really find a lot of value, is kind of securing the entire outer perimeter. And then, of course, coming to, let's say, villa projects inside a project. So there are a whole gamut of solutions. One is, of course, let's say when it comes to the plot, kind of securing the plot. After that, let's say when the construction starts, so it starts right from compound walls. So we have a huge variety of number of compound walls. Most of them are precast. Then apart from that, fencing is used in garden areas. It's used in terraces, partitions. So there are almost, like say, 20 to 25 different products that we have, which help villa owner to kind of demarcate, be it like say swimming pool or some sit outs, or different kind of things, but just fencing.
Got it. So now for our audience, I wanted you to tell. You said you have 20 to 25 product offerings, right? Suppose that would mean if I need to do the fencing, you can tell me that SME this product also can do, and this could be a solution. Could you tell me what is the cheapest option that is available with you, and what is the most expensive option that is available for you, and what is the value chain for both?
Got it. So, of the whole gamut of solutions, the cheapest and the most cost-effective solution what we have is a basic barbed wire fencing.
Got it.
Purane zamane
We're
wala.
expecting it. Yeah.
So that's the most cost-effective,
Yeah.
and it's also actually quite common. And we many times suggest to customers also. Let's say you have a vacant land just somewhere on the outskirts, or you have a plot of land, and if the objective is just to stop encroachment from happening,
Sure.
we ourselves say like please don't spend much on fencing, because
Yeah.
all you want to do is like secure your boundary. So do the bare minimum, the bare necessity, which is the barbed wire fencing, which is nothing but you put poles and you put that fencing wire.
Got it.
So that is that is the starting. And when it comes to high end, actually there's no limit. So one is, for example, we have a precast wall which is about 5 meters wide, 6 feet tall, looks beautiful, made in the factory, and one panel is about 2.5 tons, and we install it using cranes. So that is the most high end. And on top of that, you can add a lot of security layers. For example, you can have a electric fence on top of it, and we also now have sensors which can be kind of put on fences, which will kind of give you an alert in case like an intrusion happens. So it can go to as high end as that and as basic as your hardware fence.
Wow. So I'm going to have a few more questions around this only. If in case I'm going with your most expensive solution, and if I have a land parcel of around of a half an acre, and two sides are open, and that is what I want to make sure that uski fencing can. My question to you is, if I go with the most expensive solution, how much it will cost me? And if I go with the cheapest, how much will it cost?
Yeah. So again, so one thing where we are really trying to make a difference is by offering the right suggestion, like, or what would be the right solution, because that is what we realized that when we started also, that there's no company in India which is guiding people with regards to what kind of fencing would be right for their property. Like many times people travel abroad, they see some fancy fence and they're like, I want to have it. But the question that we really ask is like, is it really necessary for your property? So coming back to your question, let's say if it's a plot of land, the question what I would ask any user is that what is the objective? Now, if the objective is that you're gonna, let's say, start construction, like you're gonna build a very premium and fancy villa, it does not make sense that let's say you put some fencing and then you remove it and then you put a compound. So over there, this solution what we're talking about kind of really works. And so over there, it can be kind of installed. And from a cost point of view, see, one of the things which is very important to factor the cost is what is the boundary length. Because if you take, for example, an acre could be a perfect square, it could be a rectangle, or it could be a long rectangle. We have seen that 1 acre could range anywhere between, let's say, 820 running feet all the way to, let's say, even 3,000-4,000 running feet. It's a very long rectangle. So, based on the shape of the property, the boundary length is determined. But let's say for just to give audience an idea, let's assume like half a acre would roughly come about, let's say, 700 running feet. So you're having, let's say, 700 running feet, multiply that by a height of about 6 feet, which is around 4,200 square feet. And this solution is again depending upon the location, etc. It ranges anywhere between, let's say, 300 to 400 per square feet, which I'm talking about the precast, the unislab wall, what we're talking about. And then on top of that, if you want to have an electric fence or a sensor, so the options tend to kind of range. So that's to kind of give an idea over there.
Okay. So my question here is, you said there are 25 products that you have. Which are the fastest and the most in demand, solutions that you actually end up selling to the customers? In B2B, what is the most in demand, and in B2C, which is the most in demand?
Yeah. So on the B2C side, of course, it's the barbed wire fencing, because there are so many plots in India which are not kind of secure, and what's happening is that people are getting really are awakening, I would say, because a lot of every week we hear like stories in the newspaper. Some land grabbing has happened, encroachment has happened, and so the barbed wire fencing is again something on a B2C side we do quite a lot. And on the B2B side, very interestingly, what we are doing is a product called as the Trellis. This is getting imported from Australia. It's majorly used in swimming pool fencing, but now it's getting a lot of traction in multiple areas. Like for example, it's being extensively used in landscaping, where you can grow creepers.
Okay.
So if you take any garden areas or on the terraces, if you want to create, like say, some partitions or like sit out spaces, so that product is getting very very popular. And we just introduced this product about like say 3 years back. It's become our number 2 product already. So we are seeing amazing traction for that, and it's an amazing product because it's a fit and forget. Like you just install it, you don't have to worry about it for 25-30 years. So it's completely outdoor product.
Got it. So I'm going to come back to this product again, but before that, I have a small question. Currently, let's say I'm sitting in Bombay. I have a land parcel in Lonavala, and Lonavala, somebody is telling me that this is the vendor whom we can connect with. His cost, vis-a-vis now that I know you, I'll tell you that, hey, why don't you do it? Will I see a cost difference between both the execution?
See, definitely there will be a cost difference. The reason for that is that, so firstly, our teams are based out of cities. Like, so, for example, like our team is based out of Mumbai. Yeah. So, a local vendor will, of course, be much cheaper over there because one is, of course, that they are local and they do not have the overheads like what we have. Yeah. But having said that, see what our USP really is and why people are increasingly kind of coming to us is that our value proposition is get your property fenced in a hassle-free manner. So what we mean by that is all you need to do is give us the Google location. Yeah. We'll do everything for you. You don't even have to go to Lonavala. Like a team will go. We'll go there. If the corner points are there, like we'll kind of locate the boundaries, we'll mark the boundaries, and sitting at the comfort of your home, like the entire property will get. Got it. And not just that, and one more way where we're really making a big difference is, I would say we are quite possibly the only company right now which is having a very dedicated after sales team. So let's say if any issue also happens tomorrow, or whatever this thing, like we are just a call away and we really take earnest effort to address it because that's where I think that's been lacking in the market. And we've seen phenomenal response from people like just being there for, like say, for any after sales issue that they might have. So to kind of summarize, yes, we would be a little bit costly, but it's worth it if you calculate your own time, what you'd be spending going to Lonavala one day and kind of the experience. So it's worth it.
Super. So let me come to a very important question. So a lot of developers I keep meeting, and I've seen a huge market, at least from the Bombay point of view, right, where there's a huge trend that the project is now getting launched and you just fence it, brand your outside so good that it naturally attracts customers, right? So the whole fencing part, the whole site branding part is a huge deal in the Bombay market. Because of course, if you are there in the right location, a lot of people will notice you. Now, the space that you are in, there's a huge scope that I see. My question is, as a developer, I can just ask my civil contractor, to take care of the fencing part. Why should they get in touch with JustFence?
That's a great question. Before delving into that question, I would like to touch on the first part of what you said. When a project is launched, the boundary is your biggest. It's like your holding. Yeah. And I guess everyone in the real estate space would agree that at least 20 to 30%, if not more, and we have seen in some cases even 50 to 60% of the ownership is bought by, let's say, localites. Yeah. So that is where, let's say, something as small or as basic in fencing can make a big impact. Because from a marketing angle, if you look at it, people take time to take decisions. Yeah. We all know the AIDA model. It first starts with awareness, then interest, then desire, then action. So when a developer kind of fences the property really well, uses something very different or does some signages or something very attractive, what happens is that slowly it helps the people to move from AIDA very quickly. And for that reason, what we have increasingly started seeing is that a lot of developers and builders have started taking fencing very seriously because it's a marketing tool for them, and 50 to 60% of the decision making kind of arrives. And if you take from the overall cost of the project, it's less than 1%. True. So that is one thing. Coming to the other question, which is also very important, why us? Because as you rightly said, even a civil contractor can do what we have been doing also. So the answer really here is the domain expertise within it. So as I said, like I've been seeing this product right from I was a 3-year-old, and there's literally no fencing solution either in not just in India, but I would say even abroad where we don't know about it or we don't know where it's getting manufactured.
Yeah.
And again, my family business, it's at a decent scale, and like pretty much thanks to that, like we have amazing contacts pretty much in almost all the factories which are in this space in India. We know them, they know us. So from a developer point of view, what you really get is a very unbiased opinion, and our philosophy always has been that like we have to do what is right for the project. So we are able to add a lot of value addition in terms of firstly understanding the objective, and then really letting them know like what is the right solution would be suitable. And we are very open also, like at the end of the day it's about the project. Like if something works out better with a local contractor, please go with that. So it's more of that very relationship oriented attitude where our best interest is to really add value to them. So but we're able to add a lot of knowledge and insight to them, and help them take those decisions, because um, that that exterior which is done, if done properly, that's also kind of a precursor to the quality of construction that's going to come in. Like if your fencing is like awesome, like very good looking, very different, that really speaks like your ethos as a builder, like what kind of a finishing to expect for the rest of the project. So that's where we kind of come in.
So tell me one thing. As a developer, when I meet you, at that point of time, what's your pitch to me? Means it could be cost, it could be innovation. So I want to know a little bit on both the sides, right? On the cost side, when they ask you, are you more expensive or are you more cheaper? How do you address it? And as I said that when they say, hey, what is the different thing that you can do? I can get it done with my civil contractor. So what do you say to them? That hey, this is a catalog. I have these many solutions, and choose whatever that you want to do. Can your other guy do it? So do you have that kind of pitch with you? How do you address the B2B segment?
Yeah. So see, our primary pitch really is that we really try to make your life hassle-free. See, when you're doing any project, there are like hundreds of vendors around, and the last thing that you want for something as small as fencing to like really break your head, and especially when that's the first thing. So our pitch to them really is that hey, you got better things to do and to plan, and like focus on, let's say, the architecture or like the elevation of your building, which is like, and leave this to us. Like we've been doing it like for God years, and we'll do a good job. Like don't worry about it. So that's our primary pitch. And coming to the cost and the innovation angle, so one thing is that because of the background that we come from a materials point of view, we are very competitive. Because again, coming from the family business space, so the family business is into supply of these products, and we've been supplying it for almost 33 years to more than 10,000 wholesalers and retailers. So when we are working at that scale, obviously like your costing has to be very good, and we have our own manufacturing plant as well. So from a material angle, like pretty much like I would say we are the most competitive across India, like hands down. On the execution side of things, yes, at times it could be more expensive than, let's say, a local contractor, because there's like team mobilization there, and when we do a project, there's a dedicated civil engineer, there's a project manager, there's a quality inspector. So there's a team of 6, 7 people in the back end who are involved in the project, because it's all about the experience. So for that reasons, they can find us a little bit more expensive compared to, let's say, a local contractor. But having said that, they definitely would get that value as well. And let's say worst case, if it doesn't work out from a cost point of view, like they can always take the materials from us. We can give them the technical know-how. Again, our philosophy is very simple. What's right for the project, we should be doing that. Coming to the innovation angle, see again, because of our background, where we come from is a lot of knowledge and experience with regards to variety of materials, the base materials. For example, if they have a fence design, we can come up for that same fence design in variety of materials, right from GI to your SS, aluminium, FRP, WPC, polypropylene, and so you name it, pretty much like we can come up with that. So again, so depending upon the objective and what we need, what outcome we need to achieve, we are able to give a lot of solutions.
Got it.
And now, of course, we are adding a layer of technology as well. So now a lot of sensors can be done. So the biggest the value add over there is that particularly when a construction goes on, many a times we have seen that theft is always a possibility. Where particularly metal, there's a good scrap value, so we have seen a lot of theft kind of happening. And initially, it's not really possible to kind of build like huge warehouses to kind of store it. So there are like a lot of tech solutions which can be kind of added on the fence, which will pinpoint the exact area where the intrusion is happening, and it can be even integrated to CCTV camera so that the security can kind of take an action. So there are like value adds on that side as well.
Super. So one thing which you said that with regards to your cost of project manager and everything, I believe with the movement you scale more, I believe these cost parameters will be addressed invariably, right? The more penetration that you're having in a particular city and the number of projects that you're picking up, that price should be invariably coming to much more competitive level. So here's a plea to all the real estate developers. If you are looking at this video, this is a guy who you can go to and give your fencing business to him so that he can scale more, and the cost for you also is going to be solved. Innovation, I'm pretty sure, since the pedigree that they are bringing on the table, I can totally vouch for it, that it will be much more different than what these guys have been up to. My question to you now, since you talked about sensor technology, tell me as a real estate developer, it definitely, after a few projects where it's an important concern for me that usage of sensor cameras can add value to my narrative, and the fact that if I'm really bothered about where my project is with the issue of theft, what has been your experience in these regards so far? As a developer, if you're coming to me and talking to me, could you just tell me a worst nightmare by any of your client that was ever faced, and your solution with regards to your camera installation or sensor help them solve that particular problem?
Yeah. So firstly, I guess a lot of developers will also relate to it, that particularly when there are, like, say, large projects coming on the outskirts of a city, the locals over there, like it's an new happening, and suddenly, like, see, one thing is that people tend to get emotionally attached to a property which has not been in use. Either they've been going and coming through that, or they've seen that nothing really has been happening. Somebody's been parking their cars or whatever. So when they see that suddenly one fine day some activity is happening, they're not able to take it because they've been enjoying that property so long. And so it's a natural human tendency that whenever this project comes up, like, they want to, like, create some chaos over there and things of that. So one of the things what we have seen is kind of theft happening because they feel internally justified also, because that property is like an alien जो आकर के उनका बसा बसा है घर को आकर के कुछ कर रहा है. So for that reason we've seen these kind of activities kind of happening. And see, one thing about fencing is that it's firstly a psychological thing. The minute, like, a property is properly fenced, it sends a signal to any potential intruder that, hey, we are serious about our property, we have secured it well enough, and don't mess around with us like this. And because there are enough and more properties which are not properly fenced. So that is why it is so important in terms of securing. And see, with regards to the technology bit, kind of the sensors and other things, I'll be very open in terms of saying that what we have seen is the viability more in terms of very large scale projects. Let's say something more than 100 acres or 250 acres, because the technology is in a very nascent form. So the cost is not yet optimized to that level. That let's say even for a 30-40 or a 40-60, or let's say even a half acre or 1 acre, that it's really justifiable to invest so much in technology. So it's still early years, but we are seeing a lot of positive interest, particularly for large scale projects.
Understood.
Because there the value is a lot more.
Okay, now could you tell me a little bit around the traction that you have had so far? Like, in the journey, where are you? Like the day when you started, you would have thought that, okay, this is where we have to be. That, let's say that journey is about 0 to 10. where do you think that you are? How do you define that milestone as of now in terms of numbers or whatever that you can share? And what is it that you're really aiming for going forward?
So, if you take where are we? So, like say in a year, we do about 1,200 properties is what we did kind of last financial year.
Wow.
Where are we in regards to 0 to 10? I would say a 2 or a 3. Well, the market is huge, and we are like nothing so far. So still a very very long way to go, and there are so many. And see, one thing what we have noticed is that as people's income levels rises and awareness rises, people want to secure everything. Like classic example is like say CCTV cameras. 15 years, 20 years back, hardly there were. Now everybody is there. Insurance is another industry where like say today everybody it's a must have. So anything regards to safety and security, the surge will always be on an upward curve, and we are now seeing that. And people always have that anxiety, like you can have money, but at the end of the day, you don't have that peace of mind. What's that money used for? So, like people are increasingly wanting to invest in security. So we still have a very very long way to go. So I guess so there's a huge potential, and we've just kind of scratched the surface. So where do we see ourselves? I think genuinely like we want to add just help people with regards to fencing, like at least either in terms of either knowledge or material supply, or if they don't have the time.
Get it. So this is a little complicated question. You can take time to respond to it if you want to. So you said at the scale of 10, you are at the journey milestone of 2 or 3. Give me 2 or 3 things which you like, when you're hitting your bed, praying to the God, saying that, wish this could have happened, and then we can scale very fast. So what are those 2 or 3 variables which you are eyeing for, which could just change the trajectory of the mission that you're on to, and you can get there faster?
Okay, so my answer is going to be very unconventional.
Fair.
Had you asked this question, let's say 2 years back, my answer would have been, "Oh, we see ourselves as the world's largest fencing company. This is what we need to do," and all those kind of things. But the last couple of years, it's been more of a lot of inward journey. So I've kind of gone a little bit on the spiritual path. So right now is just one that do your best, look to add value. Karam kar, fal ki chinta na kar. Like I'm sure things will kind of come your way. So it's just the intention is like we want to add value, and like if people really feel that we're solving an important problem, like things will kind of happen, and we've already seeing a lot of like great traction kind of coming in different directions of sorts.
Sure.
So yes, so don't exactly have an answer to what you're saying.
I get it.
But yeah.
So no doubt about that. See, before I met you, I knew this problem for sure. Never thought that somebody's going to fix it. And this category as a whole, I'm pretty sure when people get to know, of late, like I use a lot of urban clap myself, right? I was not using urban clap before COVID for sure. My wife was. But now I know that okay, these kind of problems can be solved. I'm saving so much of time. It's fine that let me put money, and I'm pretty sure the problem that you are solving is on the similar track. Maybe yes, that just like real estate, I believe and observe that your customers are not going to be very repeat customers, but the word of mouth can definitely help scale to much like larger levels. And kudos to the journey that you are having, and wishing you luck for that. Now, the last segment of my questions that I have, which are typical signatures, which I really need to know from you, and let me get started with that.
One of the questions that really was going on in my mind was, can you take us through the journey? Like, as a developer, if I'm calling you, I have a project coming up, and I've called you that, and like, hey, just fix this like fencing part for me. That is work that's when I start, but before that, I want all the solutions, like the fencing to be sorted. Can you take me through the journey that as a developer that I'm going to have? What is the tag that you will have, and how the whole process will actually move?
Yeah. So the first thing that we really do whenever you get an inquiry is kind of engage in a conversation in terms of finding out what's the objective.
Yeah.
And of course, many times the developers themselves have an idea कि ये करना है. But because of having done like thousands of projects, we pretty much know what is right and what is not kind of thing. So we first try and understand the objective and then present them with 2 or 3 solutions. And because of again being in this space for quite a while, like we have we are now able to kind of estimate the boundary of a property approximately, because again, boundaries can vary. So if somebody tells us it's a 10-acre property, we would instantly know it's roughly about 3,000 running feet. And so what we do is, once the right solution is given, or the right solution is identified, we then give them estimates, let's say of 2 or 3 different products, with visual cues as well, so that they can kind of relate that what would be best for the property. And once the budgetary estimates are done, next we kind of proceed towards the site visit, because always there's some scope of plus or minus that happens on seeing the actual site conditions. And once that is done, the final estimate is again presented, and if everything is fine, then we move towards execution. And so what is very interesting about our whole execution process is the kind of detailing that we do. So whenever we bag an order, there's a detailed onboarding call with the client. The sales person who has closed it is there. The entire operations team is there, and we really go into the nitty-gritty details, because we are a firm believer that the more you plan, the better your execution will be. So there's a lot of a detailed onboarding call which is done, where we analyze all the factors, what their expectations, etc. are. And then there's a civil engineer who's on the site, who does a complete recce of the site, and we present with schedules. And see, one of the philosophies, what we realized is that most businesses in India, particularly when it comes to timelines, they tend to overpromise and underdeliver. And this is one difference that we're trying to think about, is that we give a schedule and we try our level best to do it within the schedule. I'm not saying that we don't have problems. Of course, there are problems as well, but we are very transparent about it. So that, because there could be other dependencies based on that, or other plannings on that. So we are extremely transparent in terms of our communication. So we'll give a schedule. Let's say if there's any variation in the schedule also, we'll tell them beforehand. So one thing which we are very particular in our entire process is that we don't allow the customer to follow up with us. So we'll be on top of the customer. Sir, kya ho raha hai, sir? What's the update on this thing? And people actually appreciate that, for a change, that they are not the ones who's following up. And we have a lot of tight internal control measures to foresee that also. And so we try to be on top of that. And there's an engineer on the site, and all our engineers have a minimum experience of at least 50 projects. So there's a lot of domain expertise that comes in. On top of this person, there is a project manager who sits and controls the cost, quality, timeline. And there's a quality inspector who's constantly going to all our sites, kind of ensuring that things are as per the quality. So that is one of the reasons why a lot of PMCs love to work with us, because we really save a lot of time for them, and the work what they're doing, it makes life easy for them. So that is the process. And one thing we always believe as a company is in over communication. It is absolutely okay. So we create a WhatsApp group, and like on an everyday basis, you will see us posting, like, say, a lot of photos and a lot of progress updates at the end of the day, like what is the progress which is happening. Of course, some people feel कि fencing जैसे काम के लिए this is too much, but we feel like it's okay. Like
that is your group, that's your universe.
Yeah, so we are okay with that. Like if you don't want, you can always archive the group, or exit and get your supervisors and kind of a thing. So there's a lot of transparency, and there's a lot of over communication. So with that, what happens is, like, say, in case we go somewhere wrong or something is not right, you see it instantly and you give us instant feedback. And so we are able to work on it. And so that's the process. And then after handing over also, we try to stay in touch. And something which we are coming up on the B2C side of things is, we are trying to launch an app which would be for monitoring of plots. So what we realized is that fencing as such does not solve the problem, because let's say even if you fence a property, people can always, like, someone can come and break the fence, or they can climb over the fence and come in and kind of misuse the property. So we are trying to come, at least starting off with the metro cities, is kind of a plot monitoring app where we'll give a updates at the frequency that the client chooses. Let's say every 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months, and not just like photos of your site, but also kind of give you what are the development activities happening in and around, what are the land prices which are in and around that area. So let's say if you're in the US or in Canada somewhere, all this information could be helpful to you, and will be a very nominal cost, and it works out for us because of the number of projects what we're doing. Our team is always on the field, so we can actually present that data.
Wow. Quite fascinating. I'm going to look forward to what you just said. And I can definitely visualize a lot many application of it. Of course, there has to be that kind of demand from the developer side, and the execution definitely, as we discussed, could be a challenge, which you mentioned with regards to monitoring all the problems that comes along with it. But definitely a problem that you can attempt fixing. My next set is back-to-back three questions. While you're speaking, there's something that's stuck me, and I like, let me ask him. So I'm going to keep it quick on this particular part. So the question number one, you have 100 rupees coming in last year, let's say. Could you split it between B2B and B2C?
Yeah. So B2B for us is around 45 and B2C is 55.
And that was money. But now let me tell you the order. If there are 100 orders coming in last year, how many from B2B and how many from B2C?
So B2B would be about 30 and B2C would be 70.
Okay. So that means the ticket size in on the B2B side is going much higher. Could you just tell us a B2B average ticket size that you are executing would be like what amount?
So we do projects as in the city as small as let's say a few lakh rupees,
Yeah.
and on the upwards around 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs, 80 lakhs. So that's our like average ticket size. And yeah, on a B2C side, like if it's in the city, it could be as low as say 20, 30K, and upwards if it's a very large property, 20 lakhs. 50 lakhs.
So, like, if my plot is small, I don't have to shy away that JustFence will execute it or not. You will execute it. Okay, great. So, the last part on this rapid fire is between B2B and B2C, which is a better engagement for you? Like something that you appreciate. अरे call B2C का है अच्छा है, नहीं B2B का है अच्छा है, नहीं यार B2C तो बहुत ही खराब है. Which is the one that you enjoy serving the most?
It's like really like kind of putting me in a fix. It's like choosing between two kids. Like obviously you can't. But see, each has its own share. Like B2C is of course great from a branding point of view, and it gives you that kick. Like where because see what we've seen is whenever we have done a B2C project, the kind of gratitude people show is like thank God, like made our life so easier. So that really like gives us a lot of satisfaction. But again, B2B is a important focus for us because see, fencing is a one-time requirement or a two-time requirement. What gives us the repeatability is on the B2B side. So as an organization, we focus on the B2B thing, and yeah, as long as the payments are in line, like we love B2C.
Okay, payment when you said that, let me ask you this. Like payments are all advanced. B2B guys will always say that like karo and then we'll pay you. But B2C guys they end up paying it all in advance. How is that? Where the money recovery is fast?
Yeah. So see, one of the things what we did right because see it's a niche. And it's very difficult to get vendors like us. So our philosophy has been where we generate a lot of like insane amount of leads, and our qualification criteria is payment terms. If it comes on a payment terms, like we work. If it doesn't come, it's okay. Like what we feel is instead of investing our time and energy in terms of following up on payments, we might as well invest the time and energy in getting new clients. So B2C, of course, we face no issues over there because it's a really pressing need and we're able to command that. On the B2B front, normally like again we are a bit selective on that particular aspect, but I guess as we scale maybe once more LCs and things come, like we'll be able to work with a lot more people. So it's mostly it is front ended is what we work on.
So I'm in Bombay and one of my friends is gonna be, let's say, in Jammu Kashmir, and they have a land parcel there. They want to fence. Now I have recommended you, but you do not have an office set up or team set up in, let's say, Kashmir. Would you still be able to take up this job? How will you go about executing?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and this is also one of our major value adds. So what we've done is that, of course, we have like say 3 primary offices where we have a big chunk of our team, which is Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Coimbatore. Apart from that, like we have operations team based in all the corners of India. So, for example, we have a team in Delhi, we have a team in Ahmedabad, we have a team in Kolkata. So we have a team in Indore in Central India, and South, of course, we have multiple teams. So what happens is, let's say an inquiry in Jammu Kashmir, or the Delhi team kind of comes into the picture. So one philosophy of ours is, so we, irrespective of the location of the property, we do quote. Now, of course, if someone has got a local contract, it will not work out. But let's say if somebody's time pressed and they really want that assurance they want, then it works out. So we have done in fact, like we're doing one project in UP in a place called as Rihan, like it's an NTPC project.
Okay.
Middle of nowhere, literally.
Okay.
So we've done like a lot of things because if you have to admit it, आजकल cities में जमीन कहाँ है? It's all on the outskirts. So we have to be willing to kind of go to real remote areas and kind of do the work, and we are kind of and now we have built that muscle like of working in like really nothing really kind of stresses out, be it like say snakes, your scorpions, or like wild animals. Like pretty much we have seen it all. Like so, yeah.
Superb. That would be fascinating. Okay, so now a signature question of a sort, which we do ask on this podcast. PropTech as such has not been known too much. Now, I believe this decade is going to show some different trends. But the funding in this ecosystem has not been as good as what has the other sectors have witnessed, right? My question to you, are you funded? And if in case you are not, or you are you looking to raise more money going forward into the future?
So again, a very interesting question. And actually, there's a very interesting story. So when I started JustFence, so my dad was a big inspiration. Like when he started his company, he borrowed 5 lakh rupees at 3% per month interest rate, and he kind of started it and grew it into like a massive company. So when I started, I took it on as a challenge, and I told to dad, I'll not take a single penny from. So we did raise funding, but it was funding for namesake. So the only funding we had was like 5 lakh rupees for 1% equity. Kind of thing. So that's how we kind of started. But I took it on as a challenge and grew the company from there on. And it's grown to a particular scale now. And as you rightly said, PropTech is seeing a lot of interest because see, it's a real need. And people really what to say are now focusing, like I guess right now the entire real estate industry is kind of going through a purple patch. We are also seeing the effects on our business. So we are definitely kind of looking in terms of scaling up, and possibly mid next year or late next year we'll go for a Series A round. And the intention is just that like the market is huge. Like, even let's say 3-4 more players like us can kind of exist. So there's a huge player, and generally we want to add value to people in terms of the one thing we always get say kidhar se tum log itne de. So I think that funding would help to solve that problem or help customers.
So how big is your team now?
So we are a team of about 44 people. That is the team, and we have an in-house execution team as well. So that we have just kind of we are just building it. So that's just about 2025. But apart from that, like we have a lot of teams who have been working with us for quite a while. So,
on contractual basis.
On a contractual basis.
Lovely. So it was lovely discussing all the journey that JustFence has had, and let me tell you that I definitely did expect, right? And like. After getting done with the meeting, I want to definitely ask more questions, which is not supposed to go on the podcast right now. It is not the content that we love to stream. But now coming to the last segment of my podcast, where I ask every guest 2 signature questions. The signature question number 1 towards the end is you have to name 2 PropTech startups from India who you love or adore, or like you're getting inspired from.
See, the first startup will definitely be Pothole Raja because I just love the vision. I think all of us Indians somewhere we dream of an India which will be pothole free, and they are doing amazing stuff in that space. And I'm sure like we will see India to be pothole free at least in our lifetime. So that's a startup I'm really cheering and rooting for. And hats off to the team for their perseverance, because the kind of challenges that they've had to face on all sides of things has been phenomenal. And so they are a real inspiration in terms of what they're doing for India. The second startup I would say would actually be Insomniacs, not because you're interviewing me, but see the space from where I'm coming from is that if you see, many times it's been told that the real estate sector and the building sector and tech is not a match. And why the match has not been happening is because you've been having tech companies which have been kind of coming forward and trying to superimpose the solutions on the industry. I think it is for the first time that we are seeing a startup which has really who knows the needs and pain points of the industry in and out, because you've been in this space for a while. You know the pain points of the developers, and when you come from that space, the solutions that you're able to present is something which the market really needs. And I think the time is now for real estate and prop tech in general. Like it's gonna flourish big time, at least in the next decade or so. So I think just your thought process and the direction in which you guys are going, I think definitely something to watch out for. And of course, seeing here the vibe and the team, etc. I think that's a kind of a representation of the new India. So really rooting for you guys as well, and I'm sure.
Same here, and I'm really glad that you took our name. But yeah, compared to what you all guys are doing, it's very different, right? That we are having. But glad that you notice some bit of it, and kudos to the team, which is really getting on to solving all the challenges that we are aiming at. And glad that you noticed, and thankful to you. And guys, this is not a plugin which we had planned. Okay, so I was not expecting that. My last question for you, which is the most important question, which gives our audience an understanding of what all you're doing at the back end to make your journey happen. So, there are a lot of many entrepreneurs who believe they can get started because they found a problem and they can solve it. But the whole journey is very, very difficult and different than what we should initially visualize. My question is, if JustFence is just an individual, one guy, a man or a woman, can you take us through the day of that individual? The morning he wakes up or she wakes up, what they have to start with, and before hitting the bed, what is the last thing that they will do? In this whole journey, in the whole day, what all they have to do to make JustFence happen?
Sure. So, I mean, it's a very different question. But let's say JustFence were an individual, I think rituals and habits and routines is something which is very important. And if it were an individual, I think how you start off your day is very, very critical. And we have realized the importance of rituals and routines within the organization also. So we have a lot of routine activities, like for example, and ours is an ops heavy organization. So when we start off our day, like say the first 2-3 hours in the workday is like it's kind of it's like a war room because there's so many sites going on. Each has its own share of challenges. So there's a lot of planning, a lot of working on that particular aspect, like really looking internally. And apart from that, having different focus areas for different kind of functions, kind of strengthening areas. So in general, we are very inward focused organization.
Got it.
So it's just about taking in feedback and trying to address each problem one by one.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of trying to become a better version of ourselves with each passing day. So that's what the thought process is. So that's what I'm saying.
From the customer point of view, how the day would look like? The customer outreach or everything that you have to do. So suppose there's a manufacturing going on, how that deployment is happening. Could you take me through that? There's certain departments. That is what you can lay out for us.
Okay, so let's say from a customer point of view, first is of course the marketing team would kind of get into the picture where kind of we understand the needs and we present the right solution. Then the sales team comes in terms of closing the sale. Once that is done, then there's that bridge, what we call as the onboarding call between the sales and the operations team. Then there is, let's say, the execution team, the engineers who kind of visit the site, and then there's the ops kind of takes over, and then you have the project managers, etc. And at the end of it, when everything is done, then you have the after sales thing where we are in kind of touch with the customer. So that's your entire journey from start to finish.
And into the after sales, if I have to ask that, let's say you said a certain position, share of the business is coming from the B2C side. How much of it is referral based?
So one thing what you've seen is that that people, they love a service, but it's very difficult for them to also refer because they very rarely they know someone who else is kind of They may know people who have tracks or lands, but see, fencing is something important but not urgent. So they may refer, but they may not be looking to kind of fence it. So where we have seen the referrals or where we are like tapping into the referrals of our customers is kind of getting B2B referrals. So like everybody knows some architects or landscapers or PMCs. So we work a lot with them, realtors as well, because realtors after land transaction they want to fence it. So we are getting a lot of referrals in that particular segment, and that's been kind of helping us.
Super. So that's pretty much it that I wanted. I have a few questions, which, as I said, I'm going to ask you after the podcast. And thanks for being so candid. And there's a lot of learning about this whole space that I got today. I believe we could have had more time because, I'd love to know the 25 products and the solutions that you are having, which I'll try to get from the catalog. And for those who saw the episode, I believe the first thing that you have to do, and if you enjoyed the episode, go to the google.com, search for JustFence, see what are the services that they are giving. And if in case you know anybody who needs the similar solution that they are offering, please get in touch with them. I have been fascinated because when I really needed them, I didn't know about them. I want to make sure that you don't get the same problem. Now that you know about them, make sure that you engage and get your problem solved because it's generally a huge hassle. I still remember it took me almost a month to get done, sort. And then I realized it's such a small thing. And when I went there to see what has been done, I was like, this is it. For this, we had to take so much of time making so many calls. But yeah, we were scared. There was a fear that, what if we don't want to fence it in the right time? What if somebody else comes in? So this is a real problem, guys. And anybody of you, as I said, that you want to solve this problem, get in touch with them. And Kunal, thanks a lot for being so candid, joining us on the show. And today marks our 15th episode. When we started this journey, I really was not sure, can I pull this off? And I had announced in my first introduction video that this series is only going to be about 15 PropTech startups. Right? Now that I'm into the journey, I believe that I'm going to get a little greedy. I'm going to be having more PropTech founders coming in. But yeah, 15th being a special episode for us. Thanks for joining us today.
I guess it's time to expand your fence.
That was a good one. So everybody, thanks a lot. If you saw this video, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I hope you learned as much as I did. Looking forward to the next episode with a new PropTech founder. And till that time, make sure that you finish all the previous 14 episodes if you have not finished it yet. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week. Hey guys, I'm Govind Rai from Sleepless Rangers. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please make sure that you like, comment on the video and subscribe to the channel because your love will only take us further to more real estate enthusiasts across India and the globe.